Well, good afternoon, everyone. Dear family and friends of GBC, I'm sitting here not at the church, but in my home office in Neptune Court. And probably like many of you, I've been spending some of my morning pondering over the implications of our government's latest announcement late last week. I think some of you know that circuit breakers are in our homes, and it's a safety thing. Circuit breakers go into action in unexpected power surges. Basically, they cut the flow of electricity into our home and potentially prevent a catastrophic fire. This is what our government is saying. There has been a COVID power surge, and we need to flip the breaker. We need to do something significant as we've seen a dangerous surge of COVID cases in our nation. And so I want to encourage us. I know these are challenging times. We long to worship together. We long to meet in our small groups. We need the encouragement of Christian fellowship. But in these days, I just like to encourage us to do our part. Our elders and pastors have been meeting with our directors, and we want you to know that we fully support this initiative. We want to be men and women who serve Christ as men and women who are under authority, not just the authority of God and His Word, but also under the authority of the government He has put in place here in Singapore. So, what does that mean for our worship services? First, our English congregational leaders decided with our directors that we will continue with our live stream services, but we will significantly modify the way we do these. So beginning this Friday, our Good Friday service, Resurrection Sunday, or Easter, we will continue to live stream, but with a very, very small crew. We will deliver it at the same time, 9 a.m., for our worship service as we regularly have it. I'm not sure what the weather was like for you this morning. But at 5 a.m. this morning in Neptune Court on the East Coast, it was just pouring. There was a huge storm. And I think as many of you know, Sherry and I, we just love to go out and run. So I'm like, it's not like Vancouver rain. It will rain for 30 minutes, then it'll be done, and we'll go out for a quick run, and it'll be lovely. Even though my head knew that it was probably still going to rain, my heart insisted that we get out there, and sure enough, it rained. Sherry, who is the sensible one of the two of us, immediately turned around and went back out and upstairs to the apartment. I ran, and I got soaked. And not just soaked, I was absolutely drenched. So here's what God reminded me, that in these days, difficult days, even before there was a COVID crisis, God has seasoned our lives with all kinds of reminders that there is times in every day where it's just wise to take shelter. You know, when it's raining, take to the shelter of an umbrella. When you're tired, take to the shelter of rest. And at the end of the day, take to the shelter of home. So in these difficult days that none of us really had the capacity to predict, let us strongly encourage one another to model trust in God, but also model submission to our government authorities. Take shelter. Wherever possible, please do work from home. Learn the joy of using Zoom and teleconferencing. We continue to invite all of us to figure out how to be the church, even in these days in which we can't gather as the church. So all of our CGs, we hope you will continue to meet remotely, either using Google Hangouts or WebEx or Zoom. Let's stay connected. Let's continue to encourage one another through cards and notes and phone calls and WhatsApp calls. And if you have prayer requests, please allow us the privilege of praying with you during these days. You can submit your requests at the tinyurl.com/pastoral prayer site. And perhaps our AV team will put that site right about here as you watch this video. Now, I'll be honest with you. You've probably heard me say this before. Sometimes reading God's Word is a joy for me, and other times it's deeply troubling for me. So here is how God has troubled me in His Word this morning. I was reading His Word in James chapter 4, and in my Bible, ESV Bible, it's got a subtitle which says, Boasting About Tomorrow. This pastor boasts about how he runs at 5 in the morning to try and stay fit and be a good steward of the one life God has given me. Here's the word of the Lord to Ian's heart today, verse 13. Come now, you who say, today or tomorrow we will go into such a town and spend a year there and trade and make profit. Verse 14. Yet you do not know what tomorrow will bring. What is your life? For you are a mist that appears for a little time and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say this: if the Lord wills, we will live and do this or that. As it is, you boast in your arrogance. All such boasting is evil. So whoever knows the right thing to do and fails to do it, for him it is sin. I want us to remember that God is still sovereign, and He desires to use this time in our lives to remind us who have built up great success through our own merit that nevertheless these lives are on loan to us, and they are but mist. I pray that you will join your pastors and your elders to do what we can to love well, to be wise, and to take shelter. God bless you. Look forward to meeting with you this Friday at 5 p.m. wherever you find yourself. Join us on YouTube as we remember the great substitutionary sacrifice that Christ has made for us. May you have a glorious weekend.